Okay, we're popping out today on a tour of one or two sites around my base here in Peterborough, looking for the first bee orchid of the season. I've not seen any bee orchids so far, but I've seen plenty of pictures on the internet suggesting they're out elsewhere in the country, so I'm going to chance my arm and see if I can find one here. I'm starting off at a site in Dogsthorpe, of all places, next to one of the old Dogsthorpe brick pits, which is now a nature reserve. And 2 years ago there was a tremendous bee colony, bee orchid colony, that is, behind me on this roadside verge. So that's where I'm starting off now. I'm not 100% sure what I'll find, because last season unfortunately the council mowed it down just before the bee orchids emerged. I contacted them afterwards and they promised me it won't happen this year, and I can see behind me that they haven't cut it down, whereas they've cut down the verge that I'm standing on, so that's worked. So I'm hoping that they've come back, because this was a cracking site 2 years ago and it deserves to be looked after. So this will be stage one in our search for a bee orchid. Let's go and have a look. There you go. We found one. There you go, the first bee orchid of the season. Stunning flowers on these, absolutely stunning individual flowers. You will get several of these on the stem. This one's obviously still in bud. But yeah, wonderful flower. It's the first orchid I ever saw. I didn't know what I was looking at. I raced home and looked it up in a book, found out that it was a bee orchid, and that started the ball rolling really on searching out for other orchids. It's yeah, tremendous plant. Yeah, excellent, very good start. Great to see the bee orchids back on this verge, because it really is a sight to behold. I think it'll probably take another year to get back to where it was 2 years ago, but they're back. I probably just counted about 20 to 25 bee orchids here, which is very healthy compared with last year's 0. Yeah, it's back, and that's good news. I'm going to move on now to a couple of other sites where there should be bee orchids present, two completely different sites, so I'll see you when I get there. Okay, we've popped across now to Swaddywell Pit again. Last time we were here we wandered down the bottom end to see man orchids. Today it's the bee orchids that'll hopefully be starting to flower. Certainly were at Dogsthorpe. Good to see what's happening at Dogsthorpe. That was totally decimated last year, and they have come back. They're not back to full strength, but they're coming back, and that's good news. I did stop off at a couple of sites on the way here I hope to show you, but sadly they're both decimated too. There was a great bee colony on the Papyrus Road, an industrial site, believe it or not, in Warrington last year. Fantastic site to see, completely mowed down this year. Very frustrating to see that happen, but what can you do? They knew they were there. I wrote to them to applaud them for leaving the grass long last year, but that didn't seem to have any effect this year because it's gone. There was another site at the top of a slip road off the A47 near Castor, which was entirely unusual for any orchids to grow at, but bee orchids will colonize any sort of patch of barren land they could find, and I just wanted to demonstrate that fact to you by showing you that site. But unfortunately that's been mowed down as well. So what can you do? They won't mow them down here at Swaddywell beyond what the goats might do, and that does more good than harm. So fingers crossed the Swaddywell bee orchids will be showing their faces now. I have a friend who lives next door here who's also tipped me off to one or two other plants worth seeing over in this sort of mystery corner on the top field, which is the spot that last time we were here I said I can't resist going over and checking out every time I pass, because it's a site that it's a corner of a site that produces the unexpected. So we'll have a look at that too, but we'll start off trying to find the bee orchids. If you do come over to Swaddywell, and I'd certainly recommend it during the month of June if you want to see bee orchids aplenty, then we're looking across now from the path on which you will enter the site on. We're looking across now at the very top of the field towards the house in the corner, or directly ahead as it were, and the bee orchids grow to the right. If you draw a line from here across to that house, the bee orchids colonise the area to the right of that. I've not really seen evidence of them to the left. It's to the right, and you probably need to cross the field, probably halfway across the field, and then hook to your right, and they should be all around you. So the site's not as good as it once was. There used to be hundreds of bee orchids here, but it still should be a very decent site. There's certainly dozens here, if not 100 plus. So yeah, stay to the right if you're looking for the bee orchids. Well, certainly no bee orchid. In fact, so far yet to see one bee orchid here, but I'm going to keep looking. This is a very typical Swaddywell pit common spotted orchid that's just opening. They tend to be pretty similar in colour range here, but there should be a few of these dotted around, so we'll see if we can pick a few more up. Yeah, there's literally dozens of these around me now, and they are all pretty much identical, which is very, very unusual for the common spotted orchid. It's usually quite varied in colours, but not at Swaddywell. A nice little early marsh orchid. There's a few early marsh orchids growing right in the centre at the top end of this field, where the concrete circular thing is. I don't know what it is, but it's a nice concrete marker when you come over here, and if you look around that concrete drum, whatever it may be, you'll find all sorts, but particularly early marsh orchid. This used to be a pond area which has long since dried up, but clearly underfoot it's still quite damp, and the early marsh orchids like that, so there's a few of these around. Just counted approximately, looking around me, about a dozen of these early marsh orchids in about a 10-foot square. So I don't think I've ever seen as many early marsh orchids here as I can see today. So they're growing strong, obviously still quite happy on this patch. Well, this one is a first for me at Swaddywell. I've not seen one of these before. It's not in the best of conditions admittedly, but that is a southern marsh orchid, and I definitely haven't seen a southern marsh orchid at Swaddywell pit before, so that's good to see. As I say, it's not looking in great shape, but it's here, and it'll see the season out and probably come back strong next year, so that's a good thing to see. I'll see if there's any more around, but that's a nice find. Well, I found a bee orchid. It's only just coming out, but I'm gonna grab this one for now in case I don't find a better one. But yeah, at least we've got one growing, a bee orchid. It'll be interesting to find out what this becomes. The people who look after this reserve are known for coming out and putting markers in when something crops up that is worth looking after and keeping an eye on. I don't know what this is. It's clearly still in bud, and clearly whoever's marked it out believes it's something special, so I might have to come back in a few weeks' time and find out exactly what this is. Well, there you go, we found one, a Swaddywell bee orchid, looking fit and well, with one flower open. Well, if the wind will stop blowing for long enough, this is an extremely early, in fact it redefines the phrase early. This will be a pyramidal orchid, and this place will be awash with pyramidal orchids, but mostly in July rather than June. So this guy is very, very early, albeit there's only really one flower open on it. It's, as the name suggests, a pyramid shaped conical flower. Nearly all of them are pink, and we'll probably come back and see them later in the year. They do grow on one or two sites, but quite surprised to see one already starting to show here. Well, there you go, Swaddywell pit. Yeah, not quite what I was hoping for. There's a few bee orchid plants out there that I spotted that aren't in flower yet. Not huge numbers. I'll stay reasonably positive at the moment. I think until the flowers come out, you can't be too certain about the numbers here. I didn't get the impression this is going to be a great season. It could be a continuation of their decline, but I'll reserve final judgment really until I come back with more of them in flower than we've seen today. But it's good to see the early marsh orchids. Real bonus to see the southern marsh orchid. That's a first for this site, and I'm going to be scratching my head tonight over that orchid that's been marked by people who probably know a lot more than I do as to what that is or is going to be, and I intend to try and find out this evening. Always an interesting site. There's always something going on, so it'd be interesting to find out what that plant is. But yeah, that's Swaddywell. I wasn't going to come back again, but I will come back again because we haven't really done the bees justice, and it is worth seeing if they come out in anything like the numbers of previous years. So we'll give it another check over in about a week's time.